I got a question for you, Bama fans. Did the Heisman Trust and the voters get it right? Did they get the Heisman right? Oh, I mean, I want to hear your thoughts. Did they get it right? Did the correct guy win the Heisman? 205-342-9904. Also, was Tua too good to win the Heisman this year? Was Tua his own downfall when it comes to the trophy? And here's a question I got for you. Did Bama's season play out in such a way that they won a championship but cost Tua the Heisman? We're going to talk about that. We can talk about the 15-0 opportunity that's still out there. We had said that we felt like there would be an opportunity for Alabama to win a Heisman and go 15-0. Well, one is off the board, but the 15-0 opportunity still exists. If you want to talk about that, you're welcome to call in to the Taco Casa hotline and let us know what you're thinking there. 205-342-9904. Also want to give a shout out to Bama Hoops. Bama Hoops, man. I mean, listen, I had to get it straight from James. So if I say this wrong, it's James' fault. Bama basketball has to be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? I get it right. Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Bingo. Dr. Jekyll, DJ, and MH. Okay, all right. And because you lose to Georgia State, and then you come out and beat an Arizona team at home, both of those games at home. And both teams, James, 19-point lead against Arizona, 22-point lead against Georgia State. But this time, they were able to fight down the stretch and hold on. So congratulations. That's a big win and may have saved the season. I know that sounds crazy, but what can come of that? We'll see if they can parlay it into more wins. And, hey, listen, Gonzaga, did you see what happened? Tennessee pulled the upset. Tennessee 76 and Gonzaga 73. Isn't that the same score as the Alabama game? 76-73?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and of course, Auburn playing good. So maybe the SEC can make a little noise in the tournament this year. But that doesn't bode well for Alabama. It does not bode well for Alabama. But, hey, maybe they can parlay this into some future victories, especially Kyra, the young man, knocking down the big three in a pressure moment. I want to give a shout-out to the Bama boys in the NFL. Record-setting day record-setting week for Alabama. Of course, we highlighted Derrick Henry with his 99-yard touchdown run, tying Tony Dorsett, the Cowboy great, for the longest run. Also having 230 yards, a franchise record. Julio Jones, and I may mess this up, but if I got it correctly, first player receiver in NFL history to have 5 consecutive 1,400-yard plus seasons. So congratulations to him on a really bad team that's not playing very well. And then, of course, Kenyon Drake. Thank you, Kenyon Drake. Put the dagger into the heart of the New England Patriots. Did you see the play, James? Have you seen the play? It was brilliant. It was brilliant. They played for a Hail Mary, the Hail Mary, and I guess Kyler Murray is on my mind. Hail Mary, not Murray. Hail Mary play. They put Grunk in. He would have had to throw the ball 70 yards for the Hail Mary to be applicable. But the Patriots made a mistake, and they ran this option type double option play.
Just think Cal Stanford circa 1982.
Well, did you hear, though, that Tannehill was yelling? They said Tannehill was running down the field yelling for, I don't know number 11's name, for him, get the ball to Drake, pitch it to Drake, because he saw what was happening. And even though they were supposed to run it, it was supposed to go, and it was supposed to have two, I think, an additional option. But he saw that if he got it into Drake's hands, he could take it because of who they had back deep, and Kenyon Drake made a great run. So congratulations to him. And then the Cowboys, people questioned Amari Cooper, questioned whether it was a smart move for the Cowboys. They were 3-5 when they made the trade to Amari Cooper. He has now the Cowboys are sitting at 8-5, 8-5 on a nice little win streak there. And Amari Cooper going over 200 yards with 10 catches and 3 touchdowns, a game-winning touchdown in overtime as it deflected off of the defender's hand. So Amari Cooper, I've only got to see him play 2 full games. And in those 2 full games, he has almost 400 yards, right at 400 yards receiving for the Cowboys. So he's definitely a difference maker for the Cowboys and for Dak Prescott. And looked like the Cowboys may be able to hold on and take that division. So congratulations to the Bama boys in the NFL, and we'll continue to give them a shout out. And then last but not least, we are going to get to the Heisman talk. I told you we were going to get there. But before we get to that Heisman talk, Alabama had some big news over the weekend, getting the big the big defensive back out of Oklahoma. We may have lost the Heisman to Oklahoma, but we got Dax Hill out of Oklahoma, a commit we got to flip from Michigan, and now he's coming to the Tide. So kudos, and Alabama still continuing to get better. I don't know how he's going to get all these players. I mean, it's like we still have like 4 or 5 5-stars that we're trying to get, but yet we're at like 23, 24 commitments. So we'll see what happens there. Remember, the questions I'm asking you right now this morning is, did they get the Heisman right? Was Tua too good to win the Heisman this year? Did Bama's season play out in such a way that they would win a championship but cost Tua the Heisman? And is 15-0? Is 15-0? Is that enough for you as a Bama Nation? The Heisman Trophy off the board, but the 15-0 season is still a possibility. And I asked you that question about, it's almost a month ago after the Mississippi State game. I said, did Tua leave the door open? And from that point on, I don't think Tua played it. I say lose it. Tua still played well enough to win the Heisman, in my opinion. But did they get it right? Did they get it right? And I told you they were looking for a reason to vote for someone else. They were looking for a reason to vote for someone else. And we served that up to him with Tua's performance in the SEC championship game. Let's bring in Pat. Pat, you in with the Blitz. What's on your mind, man?
Good morning, Martin.
Good morning, sir.
Talk about disrespect. It was disrespect more to Coach Saban than it was to Tua. But the smirk that was on Coach Saban's face, he looked like he was smiling, but he was smirking because the military coup that he made. Hey, the kid from Oklahoma is the number 1 safety in the country, not by a little bit, but by a whole bunch. Hey, Martin, he runs a 4.3 legitimate 40, Martin. 4.3 has a 40, I think a 43-inch vertical leap. I mean, this kid is a freak. And hey, and what's better than that? I mean, what's as good as that is that the kid that we flipped from Texas A&M, oh my God, he runs a 4.36 40. Hey, and he is fixing to be changed to a 5-star, Martin. He's when they take him Texas and they reevaluate Texas, he will be a 5-star, Martin. This is absolutely incredible what Nick is building for the future at Alabama. Do you understand what I'm saying, Martin?
I hear you, but I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out why you say that they disrespected Saban on the Heisman.
Because Coach Saban did everything he could in order to save both quarterbacks and be what we needed to do, but yet give to taking how do you say command his team, and that they disrespected what he did in order to make both quarterbacks happy.
You think he did that to make them happy, or that's just the way the season played out?
No, I think it was the way that he managed the team, that he did what he had to do in order to make us winners. Alabama was a team. It was not an individual.
Right.
It was a team, and this is the best.
Does anyone even know who the backup is at Oklahoma? Did the backup ever even step on the field at Oklahoma? Think about that for a second.
I'm sure it probably did, but I couldn't tell you who it is.
That's what I'm saying. Think about that for the second. People know who Alabama's third team quarterback is. We beat teams so bad this year.
Sure.
I mean, our third team guy got more reps and yards than Oklahoma's backup guy.
Sure.
So, I told someone, if you just add Jalen and what's his name's numbers together,
Mac Jones.
Jalen and Tua's numbers together, his numbers look eerily close to Kyler Murray's numbers, and it still doesn't include the fourth quarter and some third quarters, because Jalen was playing in the second and third quarter, and Mac Jones was a fourth quarter guy. And what were you having to do when Jalen came in the game most of the time? You weren't having to pass the ball. When they showed the statistic of what Tua did in the first half, I said, look at those numbers and then extrapolate them out when a game matters. And that's how you have to do it. You got anything else? I got a couple other callers, Pat. I'm sorry.
No. Hey, but hats off to Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That was absolutely awesome.
Have
a blessed day, Martin. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Bye-bye. All right, hold on, Gregory. We'll get to you on the other side of the break. Gregory wants to talk about the Heisman. Welcome into the Blitz. Gregory, what's on your mind?
Hey, roll tide, Martin.
Roll tide.
About the Heisman, it was a good Heisman candidate. Yeah, I think they did. You know what I'm saying? Only way we're gonna find out about that when we play against Clemson. You know, and why I said that, because a lot of people they said Georgia won really not Tua out the Heisman. Well, we'll see can Tua whoop Clemson by himself. You see, and that answer a lot of questions. You know, did they get it right or wrong? You know, my opinion.
Right. So you're saying based on what he does against Clemson?
Because they bound it. Yeah, Clemson bound just like Georgia on offense and defense. They got a great defense, and they got a little running and passing game. Just a little. That's all you need to really battle against Georgia. And then you can ask your friend the game that me and him played a little game this summer. You know, how to stop Tua. I told him, trick him in defense. Show him something, and then but not there. Like Georgia did. The safety ran on the left side, then came back to the right and picked the ball off. Trick him. So
but you saying
that's all
that
I got to say.
But he only had 4 interceptions all year.
4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All year.
Yeah. And how many sacks he had?
Not a lot compared to what other guys had. I don't remember the total.
Okay, now what I'm saying now, everybody was saying that
he has the highest. He has the lowest touchdown to. I mean, I think he had the lowest ratio of passes to interception and the highest touchdown to attempts. So, I mean,
right. I can understand all that. You know what you're saying, and then like your first caller said, you know what I'm saying, trying to keep both quarterbacks happy.
So you think that's what it was? You think Saban was playing to keep Jalen happy? You think he took Tua out to keep Jalen happy? I'm asking. I don't know. I'm asking you that question.
No, I think.
Everybody keeps saying that, but then when I ask them, is that what they're saying? They say no. Pat said it. You just said it.
Yeah, but I'm trying to tell you what I really think. I really think he did that to win. You see what I'm saying? To win. You remember? They said it's hard to pass for 2 quarterbacks. You see what I'm saying? Saban knows that. Saban knows Tua was good, and he knows Jalen was good. And the SEC, who came back and won the game for us? Jada. You see what I'm saying? You see? So what? See, it wasn't Nick Saban's decision by himself. It was the whole staff.
Right.
See, me and your friend, we had that conversation last summer. They thought I was crazy. I brought up named 5 reasons why Tua shouldn't be the starter. I gave him 5 reasons. He asked me why you think Tua was going to have a problem with defense. I told him. And then he went and got some experts. I'm going to say the same thing I said. And I told him, I said,
I'm going to let you go after this, Gregory, but here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. For 2 years, we said Jalen struggled against elite defenses.
Right.
And then when Tua went up against better defenses and elite defenses,
thank you,
he didn't play as well. But I always laughed at that sentiment because that's who everybody struggles against. I mean, there's a reason Alabama beat everybody in the past because they have an elite defense. Why is Alabama favored against the Heisman Trophy winner? Because we have a defense. I mean, it's always funny to me that we say quarterbacks, and I'm not questioning you. I'm just saying the same narrative that we had about Jalen in some ways is the same narrative we have about Tua right now. Down the stretch, Tua played better defenses, and he didn't have the numbers weren't as Xbox or PlayStation as they were earlier, but they're not supposed to be because he played against better defenses, and that's what better defenses do. But he still played well enough all year. Did he play well enough to win the Heisman? Versus looking at one game. I have to run because I got some other callers, but I'll let you have 30 seconds. Go ahead, man. Wrap it up.
All right, then. 30 seconds, you just answer the question then. He didn't play well enough to win the Heisman Trophy, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
I leave it like that. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. All right, Robert, thanks for your patience, man. You're in on the Blitz. What's on your mind?
Oh, goodness, I couldn't disagree more. Of course, you'll play well enough to win the Heisman Trophy. And, of course, Nick Saban was trying to make Jalen Hurts happy. That's what great coaches do. There's nothing wrong with trying to play your guy enough to make him happy in case you need him down the stretch.
Which we ended up doing.
Which is what he ended up doing. Tua could have won that game. It is bull to say that Tua couldn't have beaten Georgia. Tua could have beaten Georgia. We were only down 7 points early in the fourth quarter when Tua got in that game. Scored 21 points on a bad foot. Let's see Tua play Georgia when both his feet are healthy. The one he had surgery on was the one he hurt in the first quarter. So for people to talk that noise and that narrative, goodness gracious, Tua was going to win that game. As long as Alabama's defense does the same thing it did against Georgia, Tua would have had the same opportunities that Jalen had. Now, Tua's problem was he couldn't move as he normally did in the pocket because his foot was injured. He could have taken off and run, too, which he probably would have if his foot wasn't injured. Right. So for people not to take that into consideration is just driving me insane. Of course Tua would win that game.
Let me ask you this, not whether a coach did it intentionally or not, but did Bama's season play out in such a way that it won a championship in the SEC and may lead to a national championship, but it cost Tua the Heisman?
Yes, it did. And, again, because Saban was in a situation where why Saban should be coach of the year. It's a joke for a man to be the greatest of all time, but never coach of the year. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
but he should be coach. Yeah, that's why he should be coach of the year, how he handled the psychology of the situation. And again, it wouldn't have been fair to just bench Jalen and never play him again in the entire season because of, like you said, what he has done.
Well, Jalen played. I think Jalen played earlier than Tua did this year in terms of getting in the game earlier. But Mac Jones also played this year where it was just Tua and Jalen for the most part last year. And I think early on Saban was edging his bets if Jalen transferred or decided to redshirt and not play. I think that's why Mac Jones was getting those reps even earlier. So you're right. He was managing his team, in my opinion. And that management of the team, now I'm with you. Did I feel good about the way Tua was playing? No. Do I believe that Tua's arm was good enough to get us at least one more score within regulation and possibly two? Absolutely. But do I think if Jalen hadn't had the experience all season that he had gotten when Tua went down, not that Tua had to go down for us to win, but once Tua went down, had Saban not played it the way it had all year, I think Alabama's looking at a potential 2-score loss if a cold Jalen Hurts or a Mac Jones. Not a cold, but an unimproved Jalen Hurts who has not played all year, or Mac Jones has to come in and win that game. I think Georgia takes it.
Yeah, if Tua doesn't come back, but the narrative has been, but for too many people, that if Tua stays in, Alabama can't win. There was the haters that we didn't want Tua to win the Heisman. That was another means of talking of Kyler Murray, so Tua doesn't win the Heisman.
Yes.
Alabama fatigue caused Tua the Heisman. If Tua had the same stats, the same number, the same result, and for Notre Dame, you think that any doubt Tua would have won that Heisman if he had a Notre Dame uniform on all season long?
Hey, here's I went back and tallied. There was 855 total votes cast for Kyler Murray, right? You know how many was cast for Tua?
How many?
842.
Yeah, it should have been that close.
But hold on. This is how many total votes were cast. You know how many former winners didn't put Tua on their ballot at all?
How many?
13. That's why on Friday I said this Heisman Trophy is supposed to be the greatest trophy award out there, Robert, but it is outdated on how it's voted on. When it's voted on, ESPN has made it about a moment and a game and about statistics. Here's the thing. If you close your eyes and just read the statistics, Dwayne Haskins should win it, okay? But when you take the statistics and the media coverage and the media hype, and I said it, Robert, right after the Mississippi State game, they're looking for a reason not to give it to Tua.
Yes, the media.
I said the media. I said the voters are looking for a reason to not, and Tua left the door open. And now, should that door have been open? No. I don't think the door should have been open. Hear what I'm saying? I'm saying they were looking for a reason to say the door was open, and they found it.
Oh, of course they did. I mean, if I heard Joel Klatt comment about Kyler Murray one more time, goodness gracious, the guys just – they should forget about being biased. Of course, there's never been such a thing as an unbiased media because there's never such a thing as an unbiased person. So as far as they said, media is unbiased. Yeah. But you can still be biased and fair. That's all I ask. Okay, I ain't saying you're biased, but still be fair. That's what they fail to do constantly. Yeah. But okay, that's fine. You put a bullseye. I certainly don't want Kyler Murray hurt because the kid seems like a great kid.
He's a great kid.
Definitely don't want him hurt.
By the way, this is not Kyler Murray. So Alabama fans, Kyler Murray did not cast a single vote. Kyler Murray did not cast a single vote. All that young man did was go out and play football. So let's make sure we don't turn it into him and hating him or his family or his parents. They didn't vote. This is Alabama fatigue in a lot of ways. But, Robert, you got anything else? I got to get the break. I'm sorry.
Okay. Real quick. Again, they're virtually playing the bullseye on Kyler Murray's back. Hopefully not to get injured at all.
Right.
But to get harassed the entire game. And Tua's going to show. But you're right. The Heisman should be voted on at the end of the season when everything's said and done, and you got the full body of work.
Did you see the Rams and the Bears last night?
Yeah.
That's what a good defense.
Yes.
That's what a good defense that knows how to harass the quarterback and shut down and stop or take away the running game can do to 35 points a game. They got 6 last night.
Yeah, and so they have what they want.
And that's what Bama's going to do to Oklahoma, in my opinion. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you, man. All right. Bubba, stay on the line. We'll get with you on the other side. This is the Blitz on Tide 102.9 and 100.9 on your radio dial. Having a little discussion around the Heisman Trophy. Oh, my. Now tell me, hold on, Bubba, hold on, Larry. We're going to come to you guys about the Heisman. And my question was, did they get it right? Did they get the Heisman right? Let's just take off our crimson-colored glasses and say, did they get it right? And then was Tua too good to win the Heisman? And did Bama's season winning a championship the way it played out, winning a championship potentially cost Tua the Heisman? Here's where I tell you there's a huge problem, okay? I'm going to call some names, James. Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma. Jason White, Oklahoma. Sam Bradford, Oklahoma. Steve Owens, Oklahoma. Billy Sims, Oklahoma. Bo Jackson, Auburn. Cam Newton, Auburn. Pat Sullivan, Auburn. Now, did you hear those names? Not one of those guys put Tua on the ballot. Didn't even vote for him for the third best player in the country. Okay? But let me continue. Now, it's obvious Oklahoma has their guy in the fight. It's obvious Auburn doesn't like Alabama. Guess who's up next? Herschel Walker, Georgia, just kicked their butt. Gino Torretta, 92, we kicked his butt. Johnny Manziel, Texas A&M, hater. The only one that doesn't make sense is Jameis Winston, FSU, but Jameis Winston never makes sense. And then Tim Brown, Notre Dame, perennial hater. Those guys have no integrity to me at all. Zero. It's one thing for you to vote for. Listen. If I was somewhere else, I could easily see someone. If I had not watched Tua Tagovailoa play every game, and I just saw highlights and bits and pieces, I could see voting for Kyler Murray because the guy had a great season. He went up and above and beyond what the guy that won the Heisman did last year in total yards and scoring and all of that. So I could see that. But to not vote for Tua Tagovailoa at all, Bubba, you're in on the Blitz. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, Martin, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Thanks for your patience.
Hey, listen, how awesome is it when you I don't watch a lot of pro football, but how awesome is it every time you watch a little pro football highlight, some Alabama players making some spectacular play.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I mean, it's just awesome. Maybe I'll start watching it again. Who knew all that was going on? But what an incredible week for all the ex-Alabama players and stuff. Hey, as far as the Heisman goes, the university itself, they've never really embraced that whole award. They don't really hype anything up for that. If a player naturally on his own ability and all that, and it's a nice individual accomplishment, and they go out there and have a fantastic year, yeah, they're going to push it a little bit, but it's always about the team accomplishment at the University of Alabama, winning championships together as a team and all that. So, it is what it is. It's a beauty contest. It's it's a very biased award. It's always been that way. Yeah, if Tua would have played for Notre Dame this year, give him the Heisman. If he'd have played for Ohio State this year, give him the Heisman. Because he plays for Alabama, and we're in a category of one down there, it's like we got our own set of rules that we have to play by, and everybody else has their own set of rules. We are in that category of one because we've been so dominant in college football.
Right.
But so it is what it is. I'll echo all the sentiments that everybody else has been saying the same thing. You can't really use it to, did the guy get it right? Hey, who cares? It's the Heisman Trophy. Alabama's always had great players, and that is always going to, they was looking for any reason not to give it to Alabama. Just like all those former Heisman Trophy winners. Alabama's Alabama. People do not like winners.
That's
okay?
Right.
All right, so whether it's Auburn or Steve Spurrier or all those, the media, they have nothing going for us. The people that on the outside looking in that don't even follow football, don't keep up with football, it's easy to just take a quick peek. Oh, well, he's the guy. That's the guy that should have won it, Kyler Murray. Look what all he's done this year without looking at, hey, Tua didn't even play 4 quarters this year. What was we supposed to do, beat everybody 95-0 and keep them in there and go with the stats? That's just not the Alabama way, Martin, and it.
I know, but that's the other guy's way. That the Oklahoma. It's not just that he didn't play the fourth quarter. Understand this: when the game was on the line, and Alabama's games were on the line, the majority of the time, through the first quarter and into the second quarter. Look at those numbers and compare those numbers to anybody's numbers in the country. You can take Tua's first quarter numbers or Tua's first half numbers and put those numbers against any 1 or 2 quarters of any other player. Because, see, what would happen with us is we get way ahead, and even when Tua was still in the game, we were not trying to score. I mean, we were trying to score, but we were not intentionally throwing the ball because we were behind. You go back and look at some of the numbers that Haskins and Murray put up. They had to put up those numbers because they had to score for 4 solid quarters. You know what I mean? And if you were to extrapolate Tua's first quarter numbers, he had 18 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Yeah, but they don't look at all that stuff.
I mean, that's
all the stats.
Well, they don't. They look at
Martin. You keep up with all that stuff.
No. I'm saying they look at the stats, but they look at the end of the game. They don't look at what happened in the game. They don't look why one person, what's his name, threw 70 passes in one game. Haskins.
Right.
70 passes.
Well,
that was 3 games for Tua.
It's ESPN, and it's always been about the moment. Hey, let's don't go back too far. The fake girlfriend guy, you remember Manti Te'o?
Yeah.
Look how close he was to winning the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Johnny Manziel's incredible year, Alabama, that season alone in 2012, they had 4 linebackers better than that guy. They didn't ever get mentioned for the Heisman, did they?
No, that's right.
Okay, but you know why he got mentioned for it? Because he played for Notre Dame.
There
all right, go back. Paul Hornung.
Well, Notre Dame has 7.
Kentucky.
Notre Dame has 7, and Oklahoma has 7. I think.
Right, why is that? That tells you what kind of award it's become. That's all it is. That's why the University of Alabama. You want to come to Alabama to win championships, or you want to come to win a Heisman Trophy. If you're interested in winning championships, come on down. Okay. If you want to win the Heisman Trophy, go to USC, go to Oklahoma, go to the Big 12 or something like that. The Alabama football team can use this for motivation, and they get fired up, light something underneath them, and let's get after this bunch when we play them December the 29th.
Bubba, I think
let's beat them 90-30. Let's put some points on the board.
Appreciate you, Bubba. I think that's exactly what these guys are going to use. Appreciate you, man. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
All right, Larry, thanks for your patience, man. You're in to talk about the Heisman, and did they get it right?
Man, you know me, Martin. No, they didn't get it right.
Why did they not get it right? Why did they not get it right?
Well, I mean, first off, like you said, when you have guys who actually played at certain universities and they're voting, there's always going to be a bias there. So that was partially it, but some of it's just Bama fatigue. I think they're just tired of seeing Alabama finish number 1 in almost everything.
Yeah.
But I will say that Tua, I think, was so good at the beginning of the season, and he was lighting it up, and then that might have hurt a little bit.
I think it did because down the stretch, Larry, he had good games, but they were comparing him to the games where he played a half, and they were going, well, he played the whole game, and someone said, well, he only had 295 yards. I said, against LSU. Name another quarterback that's had 250 yards against LSU. He had 6 touchdowns against Auburn. I don't care how bad Auburn's been. No one ever has done that against Auburn. I mean, it's just he had raised the bar so high that he was. My question was Tua too good to win the Heisman this year? And my answer to that question is yes. He was so good that he worked himself out of playing time early. Okay, that's
maybe they just didn't want him to win 2 years in a row. I mean, here's the one thing that I guess I differ from a lot of people, and that everybody wants to win a championship, but did he deserve the Heisman? Absolutely. You could tell on his face. You could tell on his face he wanted that trophy.
Well, and let me say, when you say deserve, I think he earned it, Larry. And I think this is what you're saying. No one deserves a Heisman in terms of deserve, but in terms of earning it, I think that's what you're trying to communicate there. Because I don't want anybody to hear you saying that. I think that's what you're trying to communicate. Is that right? That he did enough to earn that trophy this year. Right. If you hadn't had some of the. I think some
right,
of the.
and you wanted that trophy.
Right.
And for some to sit there and say, "Well, we're about national championships. We don't care about awards." You might want to tell old Mac that at linebacker because he's only coming back to get the buckets. So so it's like you're not worried about awards. Just walk up to that young man and say, "Well, we don't." You can go on and do the NFL. We don't worry about awards at this school. These are 18, 19-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And like you said, if they, did he earn it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, better luck next time. Now it's on to, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he'll be all right.
Yeah, and I have a strange feeling Kyler Murray is going to have to earn his Heisman coming up here in a few weeks.
he might at halftime. At halftime, he might call Tua on the phone saying, "Hey, do you want this trophy? I don't want it." After Alabama gets after it.
All right, appreciate you,
all right, brother.
Appreciate you, Larry. All right, coming back on the other side, I will give my closing thoughts on did they get it right? Was Tua too good to win the Heisman? And did Bama's season play out in such a way that it may have cost Tua the Heisman, but secured Alabama a championship and maybe a national championship? We'll talk about that more as we wrap up the final quarter of the Blitz. Not sure if the Heisman Trophy got it right or wrong, but I know that University of Oral and Facial Surgery, they'll get it right each and every time. The great doctors over there are waiting to speak with you. Once again, check them out online at ufsdocs.com. It's now time for that 2-minute warning. James, there were several people who talked about that 13 former players, winners, not players, 13 former winners did not vote for Tua at all. Okay. And every one of them has some connection or affiliation with Alabama. 5 Oklahoma, 3 Auburn, 1 Georgia, 1 Miami, 1 Texas A&M, 1 FSU, and 1 Notre Dame former winner did not vote for Tua at all. But that's not the only bad thing. This is why this is a joke award now. 27 people, James, 27 people didn't even vote for the winner. There was 27 voters that didn't even vote for Kyler Murray. He was left off of 27 ballots all together. 27 ballots. Tua was left off a grand total of 40 ballots. That part is frustrating. But what I'm concerned about, James, is not just that. How many people put Tua third just to help Murray? Put him on the ballot, but put him third. But when you look at it, I think it all came down to that one weekend, James. I think, now, should it have come down to that one weekend? I don't think so. Kyler Murray wins this award because he got 517 first-place votes. Look at this, James. 517 people thought Kyler Murray was first. Only 278 thought he was second. And 63rd, okay? Tua was 299, 431, and 112. So 431 people thought he was the second best player in the country. And Tua lost by 200 points and had the highest total by a runner-up ever. You realize that
in a lot of other years, that would have been enough. As you're pointing out, would have been enough. I think Mark Ingram actually had fewer votes than Tua had when he won the Heisman in 2009.
That's right. That's why this award, to me, if they're going to do it the way they do it, to me, there's no reason this can't happen. Vote for the finalists. Vote for the finalists. Then send the vote in when you have the final 3 finalists. You see what I'm saying? Vote regular season. If you're not going to take it to the end of the season, at least change it where you vote for the finalists, sort of like you do elections. You don't vote. The president doesn't win in the primaries. He wins when he's running head-to-head against the true candidate. I mean, Quentin Williams, that's awesome that he got 27 total points. But those points should have been put toward one of the top 3 finalists. Or ever how many finalists you end up with every year, I think you should take the top 3 and then re-vote. That's the way I would do it. I mean, and I would either do it after not immediately following the championship game. If you're going to do it before the playoffs, since Haskins wouldn't be in the playoff, James, you take and you go through the playoffs, then you have a week, because what we do is emotionally, all those people who watched those games that day just sat down and sent their votes in. They didn't go back and look. If you gave another week, then you submitted your votes, then you had the award ceremony. There's so many ways to improve this thing to make it better.
Should we just wait until completely after the playoffs are over before we give these awards out? Because, I mean, it's not just one. I could see in the past where you would vote before a bowl game that, I mean, really for most teams didn't, even 20 years ago, didn't matter. But now that you've got not only 1 but 2 playoff games that at least 2 of these teams will play, it makes some sense just to wait until after every game, including postseason games, are done to begin voting for awards like the Heisman Trophy.
Right, because you shouldn't. If you're going to count the championship, and everybody said, well, you shouldn't include the championship weekend, because if you wait to after the championship weekend and after college football playoffs, you're giving other guys chances. Well, that's what you're doing when you do the championship game. If anything, you should either vote after the regular season or after the postseason. You shouldn't vote. You should vote 1 or 2 after the regular season or after the postseason, which includes the college football playoffs. But I say you should vote to get the finalists, then have everybody vote and take the top 3 players, and that's the only ones that people are voting on. Then you don't have issues where people leave the top players in the country off the ballot. Did they get it right? If you're from Oklahoma and other parts of the country, you think so. If you're from Tuscaloosa, you think not. Either way, it's going to have impact on the upcoming college football playoffs.